Okay, so we've gone through a billing cycle and I've sent out my 20,000 invoices for this month, and hopefully payments are starting to come in, and if you're lucky they're mostly credit card or e-check, but if you're unlucky you probably get some payments by cash or check that you need to book manually. So we're going to look at entering batch payments here that are through some mechanism like cash or check, and then we're going to talk about doing ACH batches as well if that's something you need to do. So first let's start off with entering batch payments. Let's imagine I've got 20 checks that came in the mail today and I want to enter them all. I could go to the customer's accounts individually and do them just like we've been doing in the previous videos, but we have a quicker way. So I can go into financial and I can look for my batch payment entry up here. But one thing I want to note that I haven't mentioned in the previous videos is any of these navigation entries can be searched for as well. So rather than looking for it in here, I could just pull this up and type batch payment, and it's found that nav item for me and I can click on it to go right there. So on a batch payment page we have a quick way and a slightly less quick way of doing this. If you know the account ID, I can just enter it here, tab down, pick the payment type, tab down, put in the amount, put in my reference, the date, hit enter to add a payment, and you'll see the payment appears down here right away. It shows what the remaining balance is, if the payment was applied successfully and all that kind of thing, and then I can go into my next one. If I'm not sure what the account ID is, I can go up to this top field and I can search for whatever I know about the customer and pick them, and then I can fill in the rest of this and hit add. So if you use the search field at the top, don't use the account ID field. This will override whatever you enter here. This is top field's really just if you're not sure what the account ID is. People don't always put their account numbers on their checks, etc. But let's go in and just put another payment here, and we'll just do one more for good measure. And so it's $123, and you can see these just appear down here. And so this is a quick way to be able to just keep entering payments and bang through them all without going into the accounts directly. The other thing we can do for payments is ACH batching. So if you're in a country that doesn't support e-check and you still want to take bank payments, we can do it through an ACH batch. And to set that up, we go to Financial, Payment Processors, Bank Account, and you would switch your method to ACH and then pick from one of our supported formats. So in most of the US it's the NACHA format. These other ones are mostly for Canada. You would have to check with your bank to see which one was applicable, but let's say we picked Canada 1464 byte EFT, which is also known as CPA 005. There's information here your bank will give you. We need to put in our account number, we need to put in our company name. The bank will give you the data center code and institution ID and originator ID, so I'm just going to fill in something random for that right now. What this is doing is setting up the detail we need to generate an ACH batch document that we can give the bank, where they're going to go and debit or credit from customers' accounts depending on what we need to do, and move that money into your account. So if we go back to our account we were testing on, and we go to billing, and we go to payment methods, now we're going to add a bank account, and we get an option here for an account number, an option here for the routing number. We pick the account type, and I'm going to set this as an automatic payment method for the future. And what I'm going to do now is just run a payment against this bank account. So if I go to Transactions, Payments, I'm going to pick my bank account there. I'm going to make a $50 payment. That gets applied to the account. Now, when we make a credit card payment, we actually contact the credit card processor and we request to make that transaction. We give them the card information, the amount we want to charge, and you'll get back a response right away. When we do ACH, this data has to be batched and sent to the bank. We don't know if it's going to work yet. So when we apply the payment, it gets applied right away so that we can give the customer that credit and pay down their invoice. If that transaction fails when we do ACH batching, you do have to come back and reconcile it in Sonar. We'd have to come reverse the payment. So just be aware of that when you're using ACH. It is a time-delayed process, and it's reliant on you taking that batch and giving it to your bank. So to create the batch now that we've got one ACH payment that needs to be batched, if we jump back to the home page quick, one thing I want to show you here is we do get a warning here that now we have an unbatched ACH payment. We have one payment waiting to be batched, and I can click on that to go to our ACH batch page. I can also look under Financial and click Create ACH Batch to go to the same place. What this does when I click Create is it creates a batch file here. I can download this, and then I would take that batch file and supply it to my bank somehow. They'll have a web interface to upload it to, or some mechanism for you to deliver that batch. And then the bank is going to go and try to debit the account number and the routing number I entered for the amount of the payment, and then you'll get a report back at the end. So if you want to do a lot of bank transfers, if you're able to do e-check, it's better. It's more like doing a credit card transaction. We can get a response on it right away. But if you're outside the US, or you're not able to do e-check through your payment provider, you can configure ACH batching. Just give your bank a call, let them know it's something you want to do, and they'll give you the appropriate information to enter into Sonar, as well as letting you know where to upload this batch. And all you really need to do once you have it set up is check on the homepage every day. Anytime you have unbatched ACH payments, just make a batch and upload it, and away you go.